Hi everyone, so I decided to come on here and do a quick math problem with you guys that comes from the SHSAT, which in New York is a specialized high school exam. What I found really interesting about this question is that this math concept is actually something I teach my sixth graders how to do. And I particularly mean the students who I tutor, but also this is a sixth grade concept that does get tested on the eighth grade exam going into high school. If you want a bit of a nerdy joke, yes, I do casually look through old exams for test preparation just to be a better tutor for you guys. So let's quickly review this concept that you guys learn in sixth grade that comes back to you in eighth grade when you are applying to high schools. So here we have 4 2/3 divided by 2.5. So the first thing that you should know is you cannot directly divide through, okay? What you have to do is convert your mixed numbers into improper fractions. Now, some of you might be saying, oh, well, I could use a calculator, and sure, maybe you can, but I want to show you how to do it by hand, because sometimes whether you have a calculator or you don't have a calculator, it might just be a good system to get into a good rhythm to do it by hand. So the way to convert any mixed number into an improper fraction is to first of all write out what you have, and you're going to do 3 times 4, you get 12, and then you add the 2. So you get 14 divided by 3. Now, one thing that I want to just point out to you guys, the strategy of, let me write it out, 3 times 4 plus 2, the multiplication and the addition are always going to be consistent no matter what you have. So if we already know that this is 14 over 3, let me make up a different mixed number. Let's say I have 2 2/3. This would be equal to 8 over 3. Again, because 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8. All right, now let's get back to this problem. We have our 2.5, which is equal to 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5 over 2. And now, look what we have here. We're dividing improper fractions, right? Improper fractions where the numerator is bigger than your denominator. But we can't divide through. Plot twist, right? What we have to do is this. We have to keep the first number the same. But instead of dividing, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. The reciprocal is basically the fraction flipped upside down, okay? So usually what I would do at this step is check whether or not I can simplify. And in this case, I can't. But your next step would be to do 14 times 2 divided by 3 times 5. And you get 28 on the top divided by 15. You know that 15 times 1 is 15. 15 times 2 is 30. Obviously, we have 28 divided by 15, so it's going to be just 1. You're going to subtract 28 minus 15 to get 13 over 15, and your answer is B. Here's some possible places where I might have lost you that I quickly want to find you again. And again, it's kind of hard for me because I don't see you. I don't get to ask you questions. But here's some places where I could have lost you. When you convert your mixed number to an improper fraction, you multiply and then you add, right? So you're going to take the denominator, multiply it by the whole number, and then you add the numerator, right? That's the first place I could have lost you. The second place that I could have lost you is right here. When I converted my mixed numbers to improper fractions, I could not divide right away. What I had to do was multiply by the reciprocal. This will always be the case. Whenever you have improper fractions, you can't just divide straight through. You have to multiply by the reciprocal, which is the opposite fraction. This problem was a little bit inconvenient for us because we couldn't simplify the fractions when we were multiplying them out, right? And so you saw me do a lot of things in my head. You saw me multiply 14 times 2 in my head. You saw me multiply 3 times 5 in my head. Again, you have a calculator, use a calculator, but it's still good to know where the math comes from. in the case that you are ever without a calculator or you're not sure what to do, you know exactly where you end up. And so our answer here is B, 1/13/15, and you move on. Now, this is something that you guys learned in 6th grade. It comes back to 8th grade. You know this, you got this, good luck.